You grab a can of mixed nuts, almonds, cashews, pecans, a healthy snack, good fats, smart choice. Then you turn it over. Vegetable oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, natural flavor, maltodextrin. They call it roasted. But roasting doesn't require industrial oil. If almonds are already 50% fat by weight, why add more? If this is clean, why does it need chemical stabilizers? The FDA permits additives like BHT within limits. The European Food Safety Authority has reviewed exposure thresholds. I went through 6 popular U.S. nut brands. I opened the bags, I smelled them, I felt the coating on my fingertips. What I found wasn't just nuts. Stay with me. Number 6. Nut Harvest Mixed Nuts. Everyday pricing. Around $6 to $7 for a standard container, depending on the store. Name brand mixed nuts run closer to $9 or $10 for roughly the same size. You're saving a few dollars. Same category. So why pay more? Because Nut Harvest mixed nuts aren't simply roasted. They're oil-assisted processed. Read the ingredients. Almonds, cashews, peanuts, vegetable oil cottonseed, sunflower, peanut, sometimes soybean sea salt. Vegetable oil appears before salt. That means it matters. Your roasted nuts were heated with refined seed oils, often in commercial systems running between 325 and 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not traditional dry roasting. That's industrial oil coating designed for uniform texture and extended shelf stability. When polyunsaturated oils reach those temperatures, oxidation becomes part of the chemistry. In 2015, researchers at De Montfort University drew attention to aldehyde formation when certain vegetable oils were heated at frying ranges. Aldehydes are oxidative byproducts discussed in cardiovascular research literature. Almonds already contain about 50% natural fat by weight. They do not require added oil to develop roasted flavor. Open your Nut Harvest container right now. Smell it. There's salt first, then a faint, slightly stale undertone. That's refined oil interacting with air over time. Pour a handful into your palm. Notice the sheen. Rub your fingers together. That slick coating is not almond oil rising naturally from within the nut. It's applied during processing. You're eating nuts finished in industrial seed oils from a container marketed as a wholesome snack. For budget families swapping chips for mixed nuts, this feels like a health upgrade. But oil-coated nuts are still processed food. Different label, same industrial logic. At least Nut Harvest prints the oil clearly. The next brand charges more while using the same shortcut. Number 5. Good and Gather roasted almonds from Target. Clean typography, soft colors, private label confidence, premium feel without the premium price. A 16 to 32 ounce bag typically sits between $7 and $11 depending on size. It looks like the smarter choice. Flip the bag over. Almonds, vegetable oil peanut, cottonseed soybean, or sunflower sea salt. 3 ingredients where there should be 2. Almonds and salt would have been enough. Instead, we get an oil blend. I opened the bag and poured the almonds into a white bowl. Uniform color, subtle gloss on every surface. I picked one up and pressed it between my fingers. Oil transferred immediately. That shine isn't natural fat blooming from inside the nut. It's external coating. I tasted a single almond on its own. The roasted flavor sat on top of the nut instead of developing from within it. That lingering oiliness at the back of the throat didn't fade quickly. That's refined seed oil doing what refined seed oil does. Dry roasting uses convection heat. The nut's own fat transforms and carries the flavor. No additional oil required, so why add it? Faster heat transfer, consistency across large production runs, margin protection. Regulatory agencies like the FDA allow certain additives and processing methods within defined limits. EFSA has evaluated acceptable intake levels for food antioxidants and related compounds. Legal doesn't mean optimal. If you're choosing almonds for heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, and magnesium, layering additional omega-6 heavy oils on the surface shifts the equation. The label says roasted. The surface says coated. Different logo. Same industrial processing logic. For shoppers who believe private label equals cleaner formulation, the ingredient list tells a different story. Comment below if Good and Gather has been your go-to thinking it was the simple option. Because once you see the sheen, once you feel the residue on your fingertips, you realize not all roasted almonds are created equal. Number 4. Sahale Snacks Glazed Mix. The polished pouch, earth tone packaging, placed right next to protein bars and better-for-you trail mixes. This is the snack you grab when you're trying to be disciplined. Around $5 to $7 for a 4 to 5 ounce bag. Premium positioning, clean design. It looks curated, intentional, healthy. until you turn it over. Almonds and cashews sit under layers of cane sugar, brown sugar, dried cranberries processed with sugar and sunflower oil, sea salt, natural flavors, sometimes tapioca syrup, sometimes additional flavor extracts. Sugar appears in multiple forms. Oil appears again, this time attached to the fruit. This isn't just nuts. This is a glazed system engineered for texture and repeat bites. I opened a bag of honey almond glaze and poured it into my hand. The nuts were glossy, slightly tacky. I pressed 2 almonds together and they stuck for a moment before separating. That's not natural nut oil. That's sugar syrup reduced and set. Taste 1. Sweet first, then salt, then another handful almost automatically. The glycemic load of sugar-coated nuts isn't the same as plain almonds. Almonds alone digest slowly because of fiber and fat. Add cane sugar and syrup, and you shift the metabolic curve. And then there's natural flavor. 2 words that reveal almost nothing. Flavor houses can incorporate yeast-derived components, including glutamate-containing extracts without printing MSG directly. Same flavor amplification pathway. Different label. I'm not claiming conspiracy. I'm describing formulation strategy. You can't market healthy nut snack and expect people to notice that sugar stands among the top ingredients. This is snack architecture. Sweetness for the first bite, salt to pull you back, fat to carry flavor. The bag empties before the signal to stop arrives. For consumers choosing Sahale because it sits in the health section, the packaging suggests restraint. The ingredient panel suggests dessert. At least the sugar is visible. At least it's printed. The next brand looks cleaner on paper. 2 ingredients. Nothing suspicious. Until you zoom out. Number 3. Wonderful pistachios. The red bag. Super Bowl ads. Celebrity endorsements. The Get Crackin' campaigns that turn pistachios into a cultural moment. Wonderful Company controls roughly 50% of pistachio production in California's Central Valley. That scale matters. Ingredient list: pistachios and salt. 2 ingredients, no added oil, no BHT, no maltodextrin. On the surface, this looks perfect. I opened a bag. The pistachios smelled fresh, slightly earthy, naturally roasted. I cracked one open. Clean snap. Good color. The product itself isn't the immediate issue. The concern is upstream. In 2020, investigative reporting highlighted the historical use of chlorpyrifos in California agriculture. Chlorpyrifos is an organophosphate pesticide that research has associated with developmental risks in children at certain exposure levels. California moved to restrict and effectively ban most uses beginning in 2020, but agricultural transitions take time. Pistachios harvested in prior cycles were grown under those programs. Wonderful's massive footprint means large-scale pesticide programs were part of that equation. Then there's water. California's Central Valley has experienced severe aquifer depletion over the last decade. Investigations have documented land subsidence in areas tied to heavy groundwater extraction. When one company operates at enormous scale, water usage becomes a structural issue, not a footnote. Rural communities have reported wells running dry, while large agricultural operations continued pumping. I'm not standing in an orchard with a soil test. I'm asking a transparency question. When you buy pistachios for heart health, fiber, and plant protein, do you consider pesticide history? Do you consider groundwater draw? The red bag tells you nothing about that. The marketing budget is visible. The agricultural footprint is not. For families feeding pistachios to kids as a clean snack, pesticide narratives matter. For health-conscious shoppers, sustainability matters. The nuts taste fine. The bigger picture is harder to swallow. At least the ingredient list is short. The next section will show how premium warehouse branding can still hide familiar industrial shortcuts. But don't panic. Not every nut brand chose margin over integrity. Clean nuts still exist, properly roasted, honestly labeled, worth every bite. You just need to know where to look. The Sam's Club warehouse staple, the oversized, resealable 2 to 3 pound container sitting in the corner of someone's kitchen right now. Around $14 to $18 depending on promotions, roughly $6 to $7 per pound. It feels like value. It feels like abundance. Warehouse quality at bulk pricing. And to be fair, Sam's Club gets many categories right. But this one deserves a closer look. Flip the label: cashews, almonds, macadamias, pecans, peanuts, pistachios, peanut oil, sea salt. Sometimes antioxidant preservatives depending on lot and formulation. Peanut oil is not incidental. It's part of the processing system. This isn't dry roasted in its own natural fats. It's oil-assisted roasting at commercial temperatures that typically range between 325 and 375 degrees Fahrenheit. The same temperature range we've already discussed. The same oxidation conversation. The same industrial shortcut just wrapped in a bulk size value narrative. I bought 3 containers across different months. Same label, same branding, different texture. One batch had large whole cashews. Another had noticeably more broken pieces. Freshness varied. That's not scandal. That's contract manufacturing at scale. Warehouse brands source from multiple suppliers based on quarterly bids. The ingredient list stays stable. The underlying supplier can shift. The logo doesn't change. Your assumption doesn't change. But the product might. Now let's talk about the size. 2.5 pounds. Most households take 3 to 4 weeks to finish it. Once you open that lid, oxygen enters. Peanut oil coats every surface of every nut. Day 1 tastes fine. Week 2 tastes slightly flatter. By week 3, smell the bottom of the container. That faint, almost paint-like undertone, that's oil interacting with air over time. Oxidation doesn't wait politely. It progresses. You are literally eating a product that becomes more degraded as the container empties. Premium warehouse branding. Industrial oil processing. Accelerating oxidation in an oversized format. Bulk volume masking bulk treatment. If Member's Mark is always in your cart because it feels like the smart, family-size solution, pause and ask yourself, are you buying nuts or are you buying coated inventory designed for shelf life? And then we arrive at number 1, the brand many doctors casually recommend when they say, snack on almonds. Wonderful Almonds, a major player in California agriculture, part of the Wonderful Company empire, massive scale, multi-state distribution, strong marketing machine. The bag looks clean. The word almonds dominates the front. This is the health halo in its purest form. Start with the flavored lines. Ingredients can include almonds, sunflower oil or canola oil, sugar, maltodextrin, spices, natural flavor. Some SKUs stack ingredient list into double digits. Maltodextrin, a rapidly digestible carbohydrate often used as a coating carrier. Natural flavor, a broad category that may include yeast-derived components containing glutamates, not labeled as MSG, but functionally similar in how flavor intensity is amplified. Take a handful of a bold flavor. Sriracha. Honey roasted. BBQ? Notice something. You don't eat 5 almonds. You eat 30, maybe 40. That's roughly 200 to 280 calories before you realize it. Salt, fat, sweet, umami engineered together. This isn't accidental, it's formulation science. Even some roasted salted versions list almonds, salt, and added oil. 3 ingredients where 2 would be enough. Almonds contain roughly 50% natural fat. Proper dry roasting uses that internal oil to develop flavor. When you add sunflower or canola oil during processing, you're not helping the almond. You're optimizing manufacturing speed and shelf stability. Open a bag. Pour them into your palm. Feel the surface. Slick. Slight shine under kitchen light. That coating isn't almond oil rising naturally. It's applied. Taste 1 plain. The roasted flavor sits on top instead of developing from within. That's the difference between transformation and coating. For health-conscious consumers told almonds support heart health due to monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, and magnesium, the processing context matters. For parents handing flavored almonds to kids after school, thinking it's a smart snack, the flavor engineering matters. For seniors managing cholesterol, added seed oils complicate the narrative. The front of the bag says almonds. The back of the bag tells a longer story. Industrial oil use, flavor amplification systems, large-scale margin logic. This isn't about demonizing nuts. It's about questioning what's been layered onto them. Go check your pantry right now. Member's Mark, wonderful, oil-coated mixed nuts, flavored almond lines. If the ingredient list reads longer than it needs to, if vegetable oil shows up where convection heat would have been enough, ask yourself whether convenience quietly replaced clarity. Your health isn't improved by finishing a container just to avoid wasting $12. Transparency matters more than loyalty to a logo. But don't panic. Not every nut brand chose margin over integrity. Clean nuts still exist, properly roasted, honestly labeled, worth every bite. You just need to know where to look. Number 2. Nuts.com dry roasted almonds. Finally, almonds that are actually just almonds. No marketing gymnastics, no oil blend hiding in small print. Ingredients: almonds, or almonds and salt. That's it. 2 ingredients maximum. No canola oil, no sunflower oil. No peanut oil, no maltodextrin, no yeast extract, no BHT, just convection heat doing what it's supposed to do. Dry roasting means hot air circulation, not immersion. The almond's own natural fat, again, about 50% by weight, develops the roasted flavor from within. No external oil layer required. No added fat sitting on the surface waiting to oxidize. I opened a fresh bag and inhaled. Clean, toasty aroma. No stale undertone. No chemical edge. I poured a handful into my palm and pressed one between my fingers. No slick residue. The surface felt dry, textured, natural. I tasted one slowly. The flavor built from the center outward. That's the difference. One coats. The other transforms. Price? Roughly $7 to $9 per pound, depending on size. Comparable to mainstream grocery brands that quietly add oil. Same cost. Cleaner processing. Once you've tasted a true dry roasted almond, the oil-coated versions feel artificially glossy by comparison. For families wanting everyday snacks without hidden additives, this switch is simple. For anyone managing inflammation or trying to reduce unnecessary processed fats, this is where control starts. Number 1. Terrasol Organic Raw Almonds. One ingredient, organic almonds. Nothing else. No salt, no oil, no preservatives, no flavor system. Just the nut as it came from the tree. More expensive, around $8 to $12 per pound, depending on market conditions. But what you're paying for is simplicity in sourcing, not coating technology. Want roasted? Do it yourself. Sheet pan. 275 degrees Fahrenheit. 15 to 20 minutes. That temperature stays well below deep frying ranges and allows gradual flavor development without aggressive oil oxidation. Add sea salt after roasting if you choose, or don't. You control the sodium, you control the heat, you control what enters your body. Terrasol also uses sealed packaging designed to limit oxygen exposure during transit. No synthetic preservatives required because nothing artificial was added in the first place. No need for BHT if there's no industrial oil layer to protect. This is what transparency looks like. One ingredient, clearly stated, no fine print. If you want the simplest solution of all, bulk raw nuts from trusted markets follow the same principle. No added oil, no BHT, no flavor enhancement, just whole food. And there you have it. From oil-coated mixed nuts disguised as roasted to flavor-engineered almonds built for repeat consumption, we've walked through what's really inside those familiar containers. The industry assumed you wouldn't read past the front label. They assumed the health halo was enough. But clean options still exist. You now know what to question and what to trust. One switch from oil-assisted roasting to true dry roasting or raw removes unnecessary seed oils, synthetic preservatives, and hidden flavor systems from every handful. If this opened your eyes, hit like. Share this with someone who keeps a giant tub of mixed nuts on the counter. Subscribe if you want more label breakdowns and real ingredient investigations, because transparency isn't extreme, it's responsible, and your pantry deserves better.